Welcome back to the shop. I'm going to start on another part of this welding table project. So today's going to be, we're going to be adding some oilers to our center column here, our center tube. So got some things to show you, and this is an idea that I've had for a while, and you know that because I mentioned it in a previous video. And another thing that I wanted to mention was, do I really need lubrication system on this? No, I really don't. It's really not necessary. You know, a little bit of grease in here will last for years. But I wanted to do it just because. There's really not a big reason, but just because I thought it would look good, and it's a little more work that we can perform on it and something to show on video. So, you know, you could easily drill and tap here, put a grease circ, shoot a little grease in there every once in a while. They got them for oil also, where you can shoot a little oil in there. My idea was an oiler, you know, one of those glass oilers. I've always liked the look of those. I like the old classic oiling systems, the ones where you can see the oil in the containers. So that's what I decided I want to go with. And I mentioned that, and I was going to buy some. I was getting ready to order some through Gitz. Gitz Manufacturing still sells all of those different types of oilers. And Gil contacted me after that video and said, hey, I've got a couple of those old oilers. So he went out there and dug them up. I got them right here. That's them right there. And they were a lot more dirty when he first showed them to me, but he's taken them completely apart and cleaned them up. And we haven't done any polishing on them because it's a pretty intricate job to polish all that brass. But he cleaned them up and they look beautiful. So we've got a little bit of history behind these also. Very interesting. And I believe I have got some pictures there that Gil had sent that I'll pop up there so you can see. These oilers here came off of a South Bend lathe that Gil used to own, that he had cleaned up and got working again. These were on the main bearings up on the headstock. Now, we don't know if these were original from South Bend or if they were put there later. I got a feeling that these were added by somebody who owned it, but regardless, they came off the South Bend lathe, and they are very old, and they're still in perfectly usable condition. So I've got one that's already got a little bit of oil in it because we had tested it. So this type of oiler, you have an on and off right here at the top. You flip that up, and then you have a needle valve in here, and you turn this to control the oil flow. And once you flip this top lever up through the bottom little sight glass right here, you can see the oil dripping. So I'm going to do that real quick. I've got it kind of regulated high just so that you can see it dripping. Okay, flip that up there. All right, you can see it dripping through the bottom. And again, you can regulate that so that you can slow it way down. It's just a little simple needle valve in there. And you control that on the with this right here. You just turn that. So that's my idea right there, is to use these oilers like this. This is the style that I was going to buy, something like this anyway. And I want to put a couple up here. So one's going to be up kind of high. That's my only problem with one of them, is that it needs to be kind of high so that it will kind of evenly oil this top bushing here. The other one will be sitting down here, you know, like so. But we'll see how this goes, and I have a backup plan if this doesn't really work out, but we'll deal with that later. So the other issue was, you know, you've got to come in, you got to go on a 90 and come in and drill through. So what I was going to do was just kind of build some type of little manifold that will screw into this, that will screw into, the oilers will. And I had some help with that also. A local viewer, his name is David. He's been friends with Gil for a while, and David has come over with Gil on a couple different occasions and visited and hung out with us. And he said that he wanted to make those little parts for me. So that's what he's done. We got a couple pieces of 3/4 brass, and David turned these and threaded it for 1/8 pipe thread. And what I'm going to do with these is I'll drill and tap the cross hole, and I'm probably going to mill a couple flats on it somewhere. So once I drill and tap the side of the tube here, these will screw in. Kind of get where you can see it. So that'll screw in like this, and then the oiler is going to screw down into that right there. So that's how it'll look. And that's what I had come up with. And the oiler, once you flip it on, you know, it'll drip and it'll fill up that little cavity in there with some oil, and it should go in there to the bushing. And I'm not going to be leaving these on all the time. I mean, just every once in a while we'll flip that up and let a little oil get in there, you know, and close it. So they're mainly just going to be sitting idle most of the time, because once you get a little bit of whey oil up in there, that should last for a pretty long time, just depending on how much I use it. So, but that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to set this up in the mill, and I've got to decide where I want to come through and drill and tap, and I'll get them drilled and tapped, and I want to set these up and get these finished up also. So, but I just want to tell David, thank you for making these for me. That's really cool of you to do that. And thank you, Gil, for the awesome little oilers here, man. These things look great. Okay, I got the tube set back up on the mill, and I'm already centered up and everything. I just used my edge finder to find the center. Decided to come down 1 inch from the end right there, and we'll do the same thing down here. We'll pick a spot and come through. I wanted to show you my clamping methods again. Just using my my old strap clamps and my 5/8 hold down hardware, and I used the little fingers on the ends of the clamps there, and I was going to show you what I'm pushing on, not on the actual bushing, but I had a piece of this and I made some soft jaws out of it. What I did, I just cut them to length, so I used a couple of those in there, and that's what the clamp is down on. But that's what it is, and it fits that bushing perfectly. So that might have been I don't know, it might have been turned 3" originally. Okay, so pretty straightforward, just drilling and tapping for 1/8 pipe. That's what size it is. This is the little manifolds that is going to be screwed into here. We'll have one up here, and then one about right here. Okay. Oh, by the way, I've got it, you know, the oilers will be 90 degrees away from the lock handle. So I screwed this in there tight, and I've just used my level, and I've got this leveled up on a bubble right here. So that's nice and level now, square. All right, I had to take a break for a second, and I wanted to point out that I finally have hooked up my yellow belly air hose from Coil Hose Pneumatics that Philip had sent me, and that was because my little coil hose a couple weeks ago, it was laying here and a chip fell on it and it popped a hole in it. So I've got to repair that. I got to cut it off and put a new end on it, and I just got tired of hearing that little hissing sound and wasting energy by the air compressor running more than it should. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and put this to the test, because that's why Philip had sent it to me anyway. Coil hose, yellow belly. and it's supposed to stay flat and not coil up. So we're going to give it some some tests and see how it does. All right, so I've already got it drilled and chamfered here. I got my 1/8 NPT and a spring center, and we're going to go ahead and tap it. I'm just going to visually go about halfway with the taps to start with, and I want to take it out and I want to try that little brass manifold and see how it fits, okay? Alright, I'm going to have to go deeper with it. It's not really going on there very far. It's starting on that first thread. Try that. That'll work good right there. So now I just need to I need to put a couple flats on it, and then we can snug it on up into the pipe threads there. All right, I'm just repeating the process, same thing right down here. Got it about 2 inches from the end, and I'm going to drill it and tap it for the same thing. Okay guys, there we go. We've got both of the little brass manifolds just finger tight in there. Okay, so all right, we're through with the, I think we're finally through with all the machine work on this. I'm trying to remember if there was anything left I got to do. I do have to reach in here and do some deburring where the drill came through the brass. So we got to do that on both ends. I'll probably just do that off camera over there. And I'm going to get it kind of bolted back down. And I'm going to set up to finish. I'm going to put a couple rinse flats on these. And then we'll drill and tap them also for the oilers to screw into. Okay, I want to show you guys something. I've got you switched to the narrow field of view. That's the first time I'm using it, and I'm hoping that you can see my drilled hole on the inside here and the burr. Okay, the Noga set that I got that Avi had sent me included one of these deburr tools that you can stick on the inside. You can stick through a hole and deburr the back side of the hole. And I remembered that this was in that set there. So I did the other side and it worked really good, so I wanted you to see it. I'm going to try to get in here without blocking you, but I'm just going to reach through the hole here. It is a little awkward, but it works. You see it cutting that chip right on off there? Look at that. You can go either way, the way it's ground. You can go that way or the other way. So there it is. We got a deburred hole with a you know, a little bit of a chamfer there actually. Now it's not as pretty as doing it by the, you know, with a machine and a tool bit, but that worked extremely well. Reaching in there like that and just kind of hold it flat. You see? Yeah. So there you go. Get yourself one of these deburr sets, man. These things are fantastic. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get the flats milled on the first one here. I am using a 5C collet block, a 3/4 collet. This is 3/4 right here. I'm just going to mill 2 flats on the side right there. It'll bring it down to probably 5/8. So it'll take a 16 on each side. And I'll show you the first one here, and nothing too fancy. I think maybe you can see, you might be able to see this indicator over here is my other Noga. I'm going to just set a 0 stop on it once I get the first one cut here. Let me see. I'm just going to visually walking in there and just decide on the depth of cut that I want. Always the wrong range. That's probably a good 1 or 2 thou right there that it's touching. I'm going to move in 60 thousandths right there. I'm actually going to go another 1/16 of an inch on the dial here, and that'll bring me to about 5/16. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just set me a 0 with this Noga here, and I don't know if you can see that or not. Okay, so we got a 0 there, and I'm zeroing the cross slide. Now what we can do, we can step it over actually. So that's going to be, it'll be a total of 5/8 plus a 1/2 inch. That's the diameter cutter, so we're going to move 1 1/8. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Zero there, and we'll go out with it. Yeah, I think I messed up. Nope, there it is. Okay. For some reason, this side looks smaller than the other. It's not though, it's the same. Okay, so there's our 5/8 wrench. Fits on there nicely. Okay. So there's one way to do it, and that's of course without using a digital readout. Digital readout, that would have been no problem and easy. But so anyway, there's the first one. Let me go ahead and get the second one done, and we'll come back and look about where we need to put those holes. Okay, nearly done. All we got to do is drill and tap another pipe hole right there, and that's going to be for the oiler to screw down into. So I've already found the center, and we're going 1/2 inch from the end to the center of it. And we'll go down and meet, there is a cross hole that's drilled down through there, so we should be able to go down and meet that and then tap it. And what I did was oh yeah, I was going to mention, so you got the flats. I went and I screwed both of these into the tube, and what I did was visually lined up the flat straight up and down, so that everything looks square and even. And then I just put a dot on the top side so that I can screw these back in there and just rotate the oilers to the top. And then the threads will be tight on this end here. I'm just cleaning up that cross hole there. Okay. We'll see if that'll give us enough there to drill and tap. I'm hoping that'll be, we can get it there. think that's going to be good right there. Heck yeah. Let me go get a wrench and that fits this, and we'll tighten her up. All right, it takes 11/16, and I've got her snugged up, and it's looking perfect, man. I can tell the color. That's where this thing was screwed in onto the lathe, actually, because the threads that were engaged were shinier. So that looks pretty good. I can go ahead and torque it a little bit more once we get it installed. But that's basically it right there, guys. That's what it's going to look like. I need to do a little bit of deburring. Yeah, I just touched that in right there. So I'm going to have to do some deburring and maybe another little a polish towards the end there. The wrench come around and touch the end. I was going to mention too that I don't know if I did or not. I set them up in a lathe, and I put a 16th bevel on both ends there, just to kind of, there wasn't much there, and I wanted a little bit more. Okay, there's Gil there. I sent him a picture, but all right, let me do the next one, and we'll do a mock-up, okay? All right, guys, I think we're about through with this. Get them kind of screwed in there. I got that one about where I want it. This one will tighten up, and it should bring the hole to the top also. We'll go ahead and put one of these on here. Okay, there's one more to go here. Alright, well, there's our first look at it anyway. I'll turn it this way here. And again, it's just floating here. So what do you think? The center shaft is going to come down through, and it'll be sticking up quite a bit of ways away from this. This is up higher than what I would love, but that was about our best choice so that we can get adequate oil to the whole bushing here. So, all right, what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put some oil in these, and I'll test them and see if it starts coming out these holes here. All right. Alright, we've got her filled up with oil, both of them, and I have both of them turned also where you can see the drip sight glass on the bottom. It's facing out, but you can actually take these and spin them a little bit to align them the way you want on the top side there. And I'm going to try to give you a little close-up so you can see it. You can see it dripping. Now I want to go ahead and turn them on and let them drip and try to fill the cavity up and see if it starts coming out the hole right here. Alright, so there's both of them on, and I'll get you in closer, but look down here and you'll be able to see the oil coming through. Okay? Look right down in there. Now, and that's what I'm talking about. You can regulate that if you want. can screw that closed. You see it slowing down. You can regulate it to where it just barely drips. See? We'll go ahead and open her back up some. Alright, and the bottom should be doing the same thing. Okay. So what I want to do. Oh, I can see it already. It's about to start coming out right there. Yep, there it comes. All right. That'll work. All right, guys. Well, we're finished up with the oiling system for the welding table project now, and I'm happy with it. It looks pretty good. That's what I was envisioning there. So I like it. I was going to point out that if for whatever reason this type of oiler just isn't going to work on this application, which I don't see why it won't, but if it doesn't, I can remove all this, and you can just buy simple little oil cups that will just screw into that hole right there with a wick in it. You just pump a little bit. You've probably seen them on your Bridgeport milling machines. They have a couple up on the top, so you can get something like that, put in these holes that's got a wick in there, and just put a little oil in it. But I was wanting something a little bit more classic looking, and that's what I was going for right there. So I want to thank David for making these little brass pieces for me. Thank you very much, David. You did a good job. And thank you very much, Gil, for letting me have these awesome little oilers, man. That's great. Another salvage part off of an old lathe, and it's being repurposed onto a welding table now. All right, guys, we'll see you later. This is your first look at the welding table with it almost fully assembled. The only thing that's missing really is just the faceplate on here, but I wanted to go ahead and show it to you. I wanted to see what it looked like with the shaft installed, so I actually got up on here on the table and I was able to pick it up and just lower it down in there like that. I mean, everything worked out good. There it is. The only noise that you hear is just the balls rolling on the thrust bearing right there, and it's nice and smooth. So we got the oilers on there, and I actually had turned those on about a minute ago to get a little oil up in there. And there's our lock handle working. So I'm just gonna have to, I'll have to assemble this thing down on the floor so that I can put the faceplate on. I'll have to bring my cherry picker inside and pick it up level and get it down on here and get it started on the threads. So we'll do that another day though. All right, Mom's over here, and she's gonna give me a hand cutting out that piece of phenolic. And this is her little scroll saw, so I'm hoping that it does the job.
Me too.
I told everybody, you know how to cut wood. I used to be a woodworker.
Yeah, I used to a long time ago. I missed working with wood a lot of times, but this gives me a chance to get back in it a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. It cuts kind of like wood. It's a little tougher than wood, actually. A little bit harder.
Well, it looks like it is.
We'll give it a try. I've got it scribed out for her right there. Let's see. Was that the? Yeah, that side right there. I goofed up and scribed it on the wrong side the first, or the I got it. Oh, and I got this this little air blower from Coil Hose Pneumatics that Philip had sent me a while back, and I figured we'd go ahead and use it on our little scroll saw. Got a needle valve there, so you can adjust the air pressure, and maybe it'll help blow the dust away as you're cutting.
And not in my face.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your little
This was
Dennis
Dennis
Brooks?
Dennis Brooks.
I showed Mom what you sent me, Dennis.
Dennis, I love this quarter pounder. I love that. Anyway, Adam is sharing some of this stuff with me in the exercise block. I'm going to use this every day. And to turn me over, make me feel better, love it.
You know where you need to use that? Whenever y'all go camping over at Carabel?
Yeah.
You need to do that to your sisters.
Okay.
Get a video on your new smartphone down
Yeah,
there.
okay.
of Aunt Dee or Aunt Helen over there picking that thing up.
Anyway, Dennis, thank you, and I thank Adam for sharing that with me.
Well, let me get my glasses on too.
Okay.
Mine are over here.
This is real hard. You think the blade is going to be big enough?
I don't know. I've never showed it with a scroll saw. I think if you take your time, it'll cut it. Don't try to push too hard.
I don't want to go backwards with the saw blade going.
Hey, look at that straight cut. Probably did a lot better than I could. How's the? Let me see. Okay. If you need more air pressure, you can turn that.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
I'm gonna move the camera and get a little close up of it too.
Okay.
I don't think you're gonna break it.
No, I don't think so.
All right, that'll work.
Yeah. All right, now what's the next step? You're gonna do something smooth up.
Well, next step, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it over there in the mill, and we'll actually mill it to the proper width, that way and that way, and then I got to put 2 holes. So let me grab the ground block actually.
Okay.
We'll see. So it'll be like this right here. There you go. See, so it's a little bit bigger. So I'll be able to mill it to the same size as that copper block there, and then I'll just drill 2 holes for the bolts to clear and go through there.
Okay.
That's all I needed.
Okay. Well, gosh, what a good day's work.
Yeah. Thank you. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Glad to help.
I'm sure everybody appreciated seeing you over here helping too.
Well, I tell you what, folks, he does a good job on all his videos. He's a great machinist. I appreciate everybody that watches him and sends all of the little gifts, and especially when I get to get a little bit of it too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess we'll load your saw back up. And
Yeah.
what did you think about the little blowgun?
I like that. I wish I had something like that back whenever I used to have this as my woodworking shop, because that's great.
Did it blow the chips as you were cutting there? So I don't know if you guys remember seeing this, or you may not have watched the video, but there's just a little flexible nozzle that's got the Typhoon tip. You get it from Coil Hose, and it's got a mag base there, so you can stick it where you want. And it's got a little needle valve, so you can adjust the pressure. So it's the first job that we used it on was Mom's little scroll saw right here. So that was pretty neat. Finally get to use that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for helping me cut that out, and you made my job a little bit easier now.
Oh, thanks, son. Glad to help.
All right. Well, we'll get you loaded back up then.
Okay.
A little flimsy. Okay. There's 50. It was a little crooked cut there. Just helps pull the chips in right away. Okay. Side cutter's doing a good job. Okay, there we go. Right on it. Okay, there we go. All right, I've already got her zeroed out, so we're going to go 1.5 inches. Okay, right there. That looks right. I went over there and grabbed another one of my Noga deburr tools. This is the, the little countersink chamfering tool. Oh yeah, it worked good. All right, our center to center looks good, and our size, it should be right there. So okay, I'm just putting 2 washers on it, and it's just about at the bottom of the threads. Okay. I think we have it. All right, that's it for the clamp block. Might do a little bit more polishing towards the end once we do our build. So now we got to move on to these guys. So I got to figure out how I'm going to do some bending on these and get that all figured out. So time to move on to the next phase. All right, I'm going to give this a shot in the press first before I try to do any kind of hand bending. I'm using these, you know, these V blocks here, and I'm going to try to use it as like a die and press on it right here on this line. Now I may have to do something besides this. I know this isn't good trying to tilt on that corner. It needs to be flat. So we're just going to give it a shot. Looks like it's working. Okay. I'm not going to be able to really see that. I was going to do about a 45 to start with. I'm just going to have to take it out. Needs just a little more. You know what? That might be plenty right there. Might be more than enough. I might have to straighten it back out some. Okay. I'm gonna leave this like that. We're gonna go ahead and try to form our radius, okay? All right, I've decided to go ahead and get started making my jig. I'm going to tack weld the piece of tubing down, and I got a piece of key stock there, and I believe I've got everything positioned to where I want it. And my hopes is that I can bend that copper around that radius there, and I can get it to line up and form the way I want. So here goes. I'm going to do some tacking and get it in place, and then we'll move on. All right, we'll see if those will work. Hopefully they won't break off. They look good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a try. I'm gonna attempt to pull it on around. I don't know, I might have to do a little peening. I got a plastic hammer right here we can work with, and I might have to get something bigger than that. You know, regular ball peen, I don't know. Let's give it a try. Okay. And I think I'm getting the radius. Let's see. I think I'm getting it. It's just not staying against this. But Okay. That might work, guys. Let me clamp it here. Oh man, I think that might work. Let me move the camera. I'll show you what I'm looking at. All right, I hope you can see that. Whenever I pull it back, I believe I've got some contact from here on around to about right there. So I've got a nice area. I got some nice area with contact, and it's about where I wanted. I wanted a little bit of a, I want it to pull in tight right here. I think I hit that one just about spot on, because once I get this cut and I get my holes in the right spot, then we'll be able to put the bolts in there, and it should kind of spring just a little bit so that it's tight on this radius right here. And then we'll see about, I don't know if I've got a room for a spring, but we'll see about doing something with a spring back here if I can. That was what the idea behind this area back here is. But it feels like it's right in there. It's nice and round. So that's about what I wanted to see. I think I want to put a little bit more bend on this out here where the spring's going to go. We'll do that later. I'm happy with it. It's turning out good. So, all right, I need to get the other one done. I need to get both of them up here so I can see this. All right, guys, this is bar number 2. I went out there and did the bend just like I showed you the first time, and I'm ready to start pulling it around. It's actually working quite well with that plastic hammer. As I'm putting spring tension on it here, I'm hitting it and it's conforming to that shape. It's doing good. It's not messing it up like a ball peen will. I think we need a little bit more though. That's looking pretty good. All right, I'm going to check that before I go too far. If we need to, we'll come back in there. You can see contact right there just from shaping it. That's a good amount of contact area for this. Guys, I think that's looking pretty good myself. This one that I just did, it's off just a little bit from the first one on that outer end, and that was because I bent it further and it lined up in a different position on my little jig there. But I mean, that'll still work. All I'm going to have to do really, if I want to make it look a little bit better, is just trim a little bit off the end of this. And I'm going to pull you over some. I'm sliding them back onto the shaft there, okay? All I got to do is just trim a little bit off of this one here, and it'll look even with the end. Alright, using one of these can't twist type. Okay, so that would be simulated being bolted up. Definitely got some resistance on the shaft here. Just want to give some a little bit of spinning action and see if we can see some wear on the copper. All right, you can see quite a bit right in there. And I can see some right in there. Okay. All right, well, personally, I'm happy with that. And that's exactly what I wanted to do right there. I've just got to figure out what I'm going to do down here. So I'm going to call it right there. I think that'll wear in with time. It'll just wear in and it'll get better. So what I got to do now is I've got to figure out my cut length, which would be somewhere right in this area here. I believe it was 2.5 inches from this edge here. So we'll figure out our cut length, and I'm gonna slot these where these holes go. That way I can adjust it so that it's contacting as much as I can on the shaft down here. All right, guys, we are getting near the end here, and I'm getting pretty excited. I'm ready to go ahead and get this stuff done. By the way, I've been watching. I've been reading your comments for the welding table episode 12. In case you've ever wondered when I'm working on something and when a video comes out, it's about 5 o'clock my time, and you guys have been watching the videos and leaving me some comments. But I'm out here working. I walk by the computer a little bit and I'll read a few comments and go back to working. So anyway, here's our bars, and what I've done is I had them clamped up over there, and this is where the edge of the copper block will meet it right here, and it's going to be 2.5 inches long. So I measured it 2.5. This is where I'm going to cut them off right here. I put me a no bozo cut text right there so that I can't screw it up. And right in here we're going to have a couple slots. It'll be 1/4 inch, and I'm just going to slot it 1/8 to each side. That's going to be plenty, and that's so that I've got room to kind of adjust this and get it pulled up against this radius right here. But I'm looking at it in the light, and I know I probably will never get it to where you can see it, but I might have to do a zoom mode. I can already see right in here, I can see the machining marks from that piece that I machined, the turn grooves. I can see that right there. So these things are going to make excellent contact, I think, anyway. I think it's going to do just fine, and I'm happy with it. And there's the Hellraisers again. So while I'm working on this, I was kind of coming up with an idea on doing a spring for out here on the ends. Okay, there's really not room to put a spring in between here or hook it unless I found a small one. But that's going to be pretty tight. So I'm thinking what I can probably do, I kind of made a little chicken sketch right here. Drill it, and I can use a bolt with say a lock nut on the back side and put a spring between the head of the bolt and the bars. You know, I'll use some washers there, but basically just put the spring off to one side and use a bolt to hold it in a position, and then just let the spring be the tension on the bars right there. So I think that would be a good idea. So we'll keep thinking about that. I don't know if I have any springs around here. I found that one right there, but that's a little bit too big. So hardware store down the road, they got just about everything you need, so we might find one. All right, so we're gonna do some cutting. We're gonna go to the mill, and we're gonna get these things finished up and bolted on there. Doing good. Cutting these small pieces like this, man, I'm telling you, that's why I've held on to this little power hacksaw. It's for for a small shop like me, it's handy sometimes. Okay. All right. One more to cut and we'll go to the mill. Go ahead and step it off and do this other hole. Okay. Let me look at that. That's going to be 16. That may be enough right there. Let me go get a bolt. Okay, there's a 1/4 inch bolt right there. It fits the slot good the way I want. You know, that to be centered so you'll have just a little bit of movement. I think I'm going to go ahead and move it 1/8 inch each direction. I'm doing that to kind of give myself a little wiggle room for error on how it's fitting on this radius down here. Okay. All right, I feel better with that. We'll have plenty of adjustment right there. I don't think we'll need hardly any of it, but I wanted it there just in case. All right, so we'll go back to 0. All right, there's 11 thousandths, that's where it's touching. All right, and then we'll bring it back to 0, and well, that's it. All right, guys, check it out. I got her bolted on there. Man, I just don't think I could be happier with it, man. Everything, I'm very stoked on how these bars came out. This was what I was worried about the most, was the radius is coming out. And you know, I'm gonna bring the camera over here so I can give you a closer shot, but I just wanted you to see what I've done after I finished the other bar. I came over and I went ahead and I wanted to make sure everything fit, and it did. So I bolted these two on, and as I said, these are just temporary bolts. I'm going to buy some nice bolts to go in here for the finished product. Same as here, we may go with some different bolts here, but what I did, I bolted it on and everything worked as I thought it was going to. I just pulled back onto the copper as I tightened this so that it would stay on the proper radius there in the wear pattern, and it's snug on that 2 7/8 shaft now. It's nice and snug, and I'm already seeing a wear pattern down here on this, and I'll show it to you. Already getting a nice wear pattern, and I think those will last for a pretty long time. So the last detail that we'll do is we'll put us a spring down here on the end. So we got to drill us a couple holes, and I got to go find a spring. So that would be kind of like the last machining of the project, I believe. So I'm real happy with it. It looks good, and I think it's going to work good too. if that doesn't transfer current good, then I don't know, man. That's just I wanted to come up with something a little different, and I had a lot of suggestions on using parts from this and parts from that, or do it this way, do it that way. And you know, there's nothing wrong with any of those ideas. They were all great. I was just trying to come up with something a little more my own, where I wasn't taking somebody else's idea and copying it and putting it on this. I don't know if anybody's done anything like this. I'm sure somebody has somewhere, but I haven't seen it. So I'm just coming up with something that I've seen in my mind, and just like the forming of the radiuses down here and bending it, putting it together and making sure that it's squeezed, you know, it's it all worked out good, and I'm very happy. So like I said, I'm going to bring you over here and give you another shot of it closer up, but I'm calling it a night. It's Saturday night. It's about 6 o'clock, and I'm ready to go over to the computer and start reading you guys comments from tonight's SNS 59, I believe, and episode 12 of the Welding Table Project. And I've been out here working and getting this done while you guys have been watching the videos, man, and now I'm going to relax. And tomorrow's Sunday, so probably I'll come out here and at least get the holes in here. I want to trim about a 1/16 off the end of this one because it sticks out just a little bit further. And we'll get the holes in there, and hopefully this week we'll get it all finished up. So let me get the camera. I'll bring you around here so you can see it. All right, there's your shot of the back side there. We're going to move you around a little bit. I love that, though. I've gotten some nice pictures of it, so we're going to share some detailed photos of a lot of this on the tail end of the video there. It squeezed together, right? Oh, one thing I was going to tell you I did. After I already had this tight, after I bolted the bars up, what I did was I took my ratchet and I loosened these so that it would self-center on the pressure of these bars. And once it's self-centered, I just snugged them back up. You can see a little bit longer here, so I'm going to trim that, and we'll put us a cross hole there and figure us out a little spring mechanism. And I hope that you can see it. I see the wear pattern right there. I'm going to rub it off. See it? I'm actually getting kind of like 3 distinct lines right there. So I'm willing to bet that that's going to transfer current. Okay, so here's a little bolt and spring set up. So what I did is I dug through Paul's toolbox, and I found a few springs in one of the drawers there, and this one turned out to be, I think, pretty much what I need. So I got a 1/4 inch bolt, so the inside of the spring fits the bolt. So here's the idea. All right, going to slide that spring on the bolt. We'll put a washer here, and then it's going to be like this. It's going to push against one side, okay, so it'll be tension on it. The other side we'll put a washer and a nut on this other side right here. So that'll provide some spring tension on the bars there without actually, you know, pulling on it. So we'll start with this, and I think this will work, but if I need to, we'll upgrade it to a different bolt and spring. But I think this will work right here. I looked around some of the other drawers and I didn't find any other springs that's suitable for what I need, and it'd be nice to just use something I have here. So let's use this one right here. So alright, A little bit of deburring, and we'll clamp her back up. That looks pretty level. There we go. One hit. Okay. All right, repeat it. We'll take this off and go mill it and drill it. Okay. All right, we're going to use that carbide tip straight tooth cutter. My intentions with that is hopefully it doesn't try to like pick it up as it's cutting it. Oh, I think that did fine. A little noisy, but worked. All right, one more cut. Just gonna take 90. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, I'll let you watch me struggle and try to bolt it up. Got her deburred. I filed the end there. And see, what I'm doing is just trying to push it back just like that. But what I figured out is you got to have the bolt started and a little bit snug in order to get it to line up right. Just get the bolts in there. Push it back. Okay. All right. So let's see if they line up now. All right, I'm going to bolt, spring, and we're going to put a washer to back it up here. And it looks like it's going through there. So I'm going to change the stuff. This is just temporary. Okay, there it is though. There's your spring tension. I think we got plenty on there, and then this will keep them pulled together. I like that. It looks good. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this setup with me when I get all my bolts. What I'd like to do, I think what I've decided I'm going to do is use stainless steel. I don't know any reason why I can't use stainless, but I was thinking of putting all stainless hardware on here, and so I'll look about getting a stainless bolt and a lock nut for this side here, so that I can just screw it on there and I ain't got to worry about it this backing out. Man, that's it. Are you kidding me? We got to have something else to do. I got to clean up, I'll tell you that. All right, I got one more thing that I do plan on doing, and let me show you that. Get you over here where I'm sitting, okay? Okay, the shaft here. I've had a few people say, hey, why don't you put you a tapped hole in the end? I actually had planned on doing that a while back when I machined this, and I totally forgot about it when I took it out of the lathe. And I just haven't mentioned anything about it. But yes, I do want to put a tapped hole here, a threaded hole. One would be so I can use a lifting eye. We'll put an eye bolt whenever we drop it down in there. We'll use the crane. And then two, I'll have a tapped hole here for either clamping if I need to, or something. I don't know. We can use that hole later for something. I just don't know what it's going to be yet. So I'm going to go back to the lathe with this and the Monarch. I need to get it all set back up. I'm just going to do a simple drill and tap for 5/8. I'm going to do 5/8 11. I like that size. And after that, we're going to be ready. We're going to be ready to do a mock-up. Okay.